Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Singularity Let's Play. It's Northstar. I hope you folks are well. Taking care of each other, being kind to yourselves. Got the money exploration event here with some historically inaccurate ideas about the origins of money. Part of them come from early capitalist thinkers, and part of them actually come from early Marxist thinkers, but universally the ideas in this particular exploration are incorrect. Particularly the predominance of barter economy. By the way, saying some came from Marxists and some from capitalists may sound incongruous until you realize that actually Karl Marx worked off of writings of Adam Smith in some of his writings and directly adopted some of his ideas, actually. They were contemporaries to a certain degree. In the 1800s, you know. It was a interesting time to be alive. I'm sure people will say the same about our day today with some of the people we think of as, you know, just part of our world becoming quite famous. We have like, what was it like to be alive at the same time as such and such? And most people don't even realize that person will go down in history or something. Not you or me, though, probably. Just, you know, politicians, philosophers, scientists, celebrities. I don't know. Just for certain is that this period of history will look backwards to people in the future. The rampant inequality, the still extant racism and xenophobia, which is fear of foreigners that may or may not even be a different ethnicity, but blaming immigrants for all problems instead of your own failure to, as a system, adequately deal with certain problems. And by extension, the failure of the economic system to be one that works correctly in the first place, which is what this is probably about, protecting a certain system that starts to see from criticism. That's why there's all this anti-immigrant rhetoric. It's a scapegoat, just like the Nazis used various groups as scapegoats to avoid criticism of the economic system, which they were very much fans of, despite people trying to rewrite history as if that wasn't the case, including famously a right-wing economist who was writing before the Third Reich had even fallen, so did not have accurate information on just how right-wing their economic policies really were, and they were very right-wing, and tried to portray it falsely as there being any truth to the socialism idea of it, which there wasn't. Hitler was a fucking liar. The Nazis were liars. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone. You can call this party whatever you wanted. It doesn't mean actually it was. I mean, it's like some cynics will say about the democratic republics, which are socialist republics, which were generally one-party states. They actually did have a lot of political participation, but it was through the mechanisms of a one-party state, which meant while you could actually get involved in politics fairly easily in communist countries, usually your options were quite limited to things that matched with the orthodoxy. Socialism is the answer, but that particular brand of it is not the way to go. People should learn from the past and try and do it better this time. And of course, anyone who says that will be accused of revisionism, but I mean, these are the same people who bitch about how China is supposedly not really socialist. No, it is. They're just doing it differently because they're trying to learn from the past, and they'll make mistakes, and they have elements of capitalism in their system. Because they never really had a period of urbanized, industrialized capitalism. Of course, neither did the Soviet Union to a large degree. There are a few well-developed industrial cities, but in the West, but most of the country is very rural. So, but yeah, China did try and play nice with the West long enough to get its economic feet on the ground, so to speak. So stop people from saying bullshit about them being imperialist wherever they aren't. But seeking influence outside your borders is an imperialism. Imperialism is specifically a program of economic exploitation of your neighbors. They may be expansionist if you want to think that they intend to annex countries, but they don't, unless you're talking Taiwan. So they're neither expansionist nor imperialist. They may seek domination. That much is the only thing that may be true. And to a much lesser extent than most European imperialist powers did, seek a certain amount of political domination of other countries. It's a much more muted approach to that. You play Stars, which I'll be going to my Let's Play series of that soon. There's the domination tradition. It doesn't make you authoritarian. It doesn't make you capitalist even. In fact, I'm going to eventually reform the Star Empire I have there into a workers' cooperative government. It's going to be socialist. It's going to be a mega corporation with the workers' cooperative civic, which is socialism actually, like the Mondragon Corporation if it was scaled up to a multi-planet empire instead of just being a region in northeast, well, not northeast, due north, in the Basque region of Spain and France, where they have so many workers' cooperatives. The large part of the economy there is actually socialist, which has helped what would otherwise be an incredibly poor rural region survive. They're not super prosperous, but they do better than many other areas that similarly have been left behind by modern capitalism. There's also a community in northern England. It's been talked about sometimes that did similarly banded together, create a lot of community corporations. So that's socialism through local ownership rather than workers' cooperatives. It's actually more democratic, and that those little locally owned companies are everyone in the community gets to vote, not just the workers, on how things are run. I forget. There's this English economist who likes to talk about this community a lot. You can see her. I want to say her name is like something Blake or something. She has the look of like if you took Indiana Jones, but made Indiana Jones female with blonde hair. She likes to wear these kind of beige colors and has this certain rugged look about her. Her mannerisms are a little nervous, and she talks a lot about large, like, internet corporations like Google and such. You'll sometimes see her alongside this Greek guy who talks about so-called techno-feudalism, except her take is a little more based in facts. That guy was, by his own admission, a third-rate economist who ended up a finance minister when the socialists are elected in Greece, and then that government was unable to meet its objectives and the fascists eventually took over from them. Which, if any doubt that fascism and socialism are very different things, the fact that one took over from the other and their government changed drastically should prove that. What was it, Golden Dawn, or whatever, that freaking fascist movement that took over Greece after the failure of the socialist government to renegotiate their debts with Germany and France and the UK. Germany in particular drove a hard line on Greece, absolutely crushing their own population and subjecting them to terrible austerity to pay back their debts. And even though the evidence has shown that destroyed the Greek economy, the GDP plummeted, which made that kind of austerity self-defeating, because then there wouldn't actually be the tax revenue to pay back the debts. the third worldization of Greece that Germany was pushing, and socialists didn't stand up strongly enough. They caved to the Germans, and their own populace hated that. And so they voted them out and voted in fascists. Who took I guess, supposedly took a stronger line. But I'm not sure I believe that. They at least had the image of standing up to the Germans more. And the image sometimes is all that matters. Right. If you do this exploration, if you fill this thing and pull the lever a few times, eventually, first it drives up a little meter bar, but once it fills, you get a big bonus. I'm probably not going to stick around long enough to do that. Maybe I'll pull the lever once, but let me just show you guys. You haven't watched me do this exploration before, and this reaches full. Instead of the bar going up further, which you can't, you get a large bonus. It's kind of cool. Minor thing. Alright, to the beyond exploration. Always makes me think a little bit of stars, which is good because I'm probably doing that Let's Play in a little bit. I just need today's a 3 coffee day. It's my 3rd coffee, and I'm waiting for it to soak in. I got a 4th in the fridge if I really need it, which I probably will today. Just gonna do a multiplier thing with Boulder. I'm not sure I have the energy. I'm exhausted today. We'll see how I do with the coffee, though. And plus, we don't have a really good idea what we're going to do anyway. Star Wars Battlefront, maybe. At some point, it's Star Wars multiplayer, but I'm not so sure about my internet. It doesn't help I'm not sure about my house in the long run. Where I am, I only got into like a month and a half less now. And after that, I was going to try and find roommates and go somewhere cheaper, but I'm having real trouble finding roommates. Found one person who's disabled on fixed income. Like, they have SSI, which I'll hopefully eventually have, but won't be able to receive any money until my savings fall below a certain threshold. And SSDI, which I got screwed out of, but near margin, they're able to piece together a little work as a PCA, so they're a little better off than me, but they have a very low budget, and the way apartments they find in their price range are, of course, scams. Because if it's sounds too good to be true, it probably is. There's nothing. I was tried to kind of subtly hint to them that would be the case, but sometimes you gotta find out for yourself. I haven't found anyone else. One of the places I searched for mates, just kept getting these like fascist trolls who like would message me and be like, insulting my appearance or accusing me of being gay as if that was an automatically an insult. By the way, I hate homophobes, so obviously these are people I don't want to live with, but they're just trying to fuck with me anyways. Just being nasty people, and the person on fixed income with very low budget. It's a tough situation. Maybe I can get Chinese coins before I end this particular exploration. Take a little bit here. Might start some new series soonish, including a Morrowind one. I'm gonna have to create an entirely new game of that and some other things, because some of the saves I had were the family member I was staying with, who, did I explain on this series before? Yeah, there was a lot of abuse. I was suffering kind of low level stuff, and that it wasn't constant, and I seen much worse when I lived with my father when I was growing up, but it's still not cool. And in a final fight that included threats of violence against me, like I was being threatened with violence before. I'm not saying I was threatening the other person. I was being threatened. And it blew up. And I'm not staying with that person anymore. Just telling them that, no, your doctors aren't trying to kill you. This person's paranoid. But anyways, I acknowledge that maybe one particular doctor might have been trying to hurt them, but none of the others, that there wasn't strong enough evidence, and that's a ridiculous thing. I think it's everyone just because they got one really bad doctor who might have, like, I was even willing to concede that much, but that wasn't enough for this person. They know not more than one of your doctors, for sure. Anyways, so my saves for, Morrowind, I think a bunch of other games are... I had a computer that the monitor stopped working on, but it works otherwise, so I just have to hook it up to an external monitor at the house. But, well, I could possibly get the laptop from this person. The monitor itself they was using, they claim belongs to them. In actuality, I think it belongs to a different family member who loaned it to them, but it's not mine. The point is the external monitor that was at hand to connect that to get the save files out. Of course the save files are my property. It's not likely to happen, so it sucks, but it's not like I predicted all this, and it did give me some experience with grinding and doing the ridiculous things you could do. And so when I do a new campaign, be better, hopefully. And at least, if I'm uploading a new one to YouTube, someday that save gets lost, I feel like I've accomplished something in building my YouTube channel, because this channel is my hope of surviving. Oh, yeah, you can see the bonus there that you get for filling. Chinese coins. I should eventually, although who knows, government bureaucracy could make it harder for me, just like applied for housing assistance, and they'll like send me a letter through an online portal that I hadn't actually set up, and then when I tried to set up, you have to connect it to the application, which it was a paper application put in for housing assistance programs. And I couldn't find the application, so it won't let me do that. It's like, this is bullshit. And saying that I must respond within 30 days to a thing I can't even access. This is the kind of crap bureaucracy pulls. But, assuming I don't get fucked by something like that, SSI, I'm gonna have to, I guess, live in a rural area and hope that the cost of housing doesn't go up so fast that, I can survive for 4, 5, 6 years until I can get YouTube to monetize. I mean, I'll monetize before but get my channel big enough that maybe I'm making enough money to survive. Maybe that's impossible. I have to try what else I'm gonna do when I can't work most jobs. And even though I slowly recover from long COVID, between reinfections, every time I get reinfected with coronavirus, I lose all the progress I made. And since people aren't wearing masks anymore and such, even if I do, it's just not enough protection. I'm never going to be able to get back to full health. Essentially immune compromised, and people around me won't do enough to protect me. Well, anyways, I wish you folks all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. Me always fun Gangstar to lead you home. I do. And best luck.